Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Suki Jeffries with Defying Expectations Over 60. Welcome back. I am a women's empowerment coach. I spent 35 plus years in corporate America in a technology career that I fell into when I was 22 years old. And when I retired at 59, I decided that I wanted to do something different with my life. I possibly have 30 healthy years left. And so it's like, what now? So now I'm an international best-selling author, a coach, and a podcast host, as you can see. And I want you to give a really warm welcome to my guest today, Gina Zollman. Gina and I met probably 6 or 7 months ago. And she's got a fantastic story. She's 67, although she doesn't look 67 at all to me. And there she is. Yep. And so she's got a CD coming out, her first CD. We're going to hear some about her story and how she got to where she got. So Gina, tell us a little bit about like where you live and kind of what prompted you to be where you are right now.
Well, I live in Palm Springs, California, and Point Roberts, Washington. So I'm a snowbird. Point Roberts is in the U.S. in Washington State, but it's like a suburb of Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia.
It's surrounded by Canada, right?
Surrounded by Canada. I retired and I left my relationship. So it all happened kind of wham bam, and I went into immediate search for a new relationship mode. This is just as the pandemic was starting in 2020.
Yeah, difficult times.
A difficult time. And I got into what they call an isolationship, which is something where you're with somebody who may not be right for you, but you're so glad you're not alone. And when that ended, I really hit a bottom, and I was desperate, and I was interviewing people on the internet. Could you be my boyfriend? And I met somebody, obviously only online, and we talked on the phone, and I said, because I'm this way, I said, are you a good kisser? And he says, well, that's just the next best thing. And I said, well, what's the first best thing? And he said, all these romantic things about being patient and tender and love and being a good companion. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm looking for the wrong thing. I was just looking for a warm body to replace my last one instead of a real loving, supportive relationship. And I said, there's something I've got to work on in order to get to that place, because I was so empty inside. Mm-hmm. So I got back with my therapist. I started the diet app Noom. I lost 30 pounds and I started writing.
Cool. What did you write?
I wrote a book and I called it The First Best Thing because I asked this fellow, well, what's the first best thing? And I realized the first best thing for me was getting back in touch with what made me truly happy. Yes. What things like singing in choirs and going to Italian delis because I'm half Italian, and walking on the beach. I started going to the beach every day when I was living in San Diego. And I just stopped focusing on get a man, and I started focusing on filling my own needs myself by examining what's a first best thing: singing, good food, company, friendships. And of course, there's many books written about this, but my story is that it was a turning point. And I started to write this book and I wrote it. And now we're in the editing phase. And I interviewed swains, what do you want to call them, potential mates, for 7 months. And I met someone, and now we're together 2 years. And he's building me a house up in Point Roberts on 5 acres of forested land.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
It's amazing what's happened. But I had to do the excavating of what was driving me to just look for this surface thing like a relationship, not necessarily something that came out of love or getting to know someone. It was just a desperate move I was trying to make.
So in the first best thing is really finding yourself again.
Exactly.
And so what age were you when this all came about?
I was 65.
Yeah. So A lot of society is expecting us, those of us who are in our 60s and over, to be slowing down, and they figure we've kind of got it all figured out, right?
Right.
And one of the most delightful things for me in my 60s, and actually I started this right after I retired at 59, was doing the personal work to figure out what was really important to me, and what I really wanted out of the next years of my life. I mean, it sounds like you tapped into a really rich source of fulfillment.
Well, thank you. I did. And I think it's also gets deeper and deeper the more I'm true to myself, the more I
Hmm.
look inward and say, did that feel right? Is that right for me? Is it right for me right now?
Hmm. For sure.
And I can tell you that being in the studio recording the CD was a revelation as well, because I've written original music, but I'd never heard it played by professional musicians with my voice added. We were in Studio A at Columbia Records,
Oh, so cool.
where Frank Sinatra recorded. The day that we recorded there, Johnny Mathis was in Studio B.
Oh my goodness.
I know it. And but to hear my voice, my music, and obviously the other songs I did as well that were standards or contemporary classics, I just didn't know that I would love it so much.
Oh my goodness. The process and hearing yourself and being that recording artist. Did you always want to be one?
Well, I'm a live act. And in other words, there are people that only record, and maybe not to be critical, maybe they're enhanced in the studio
Oh,
so that
okay.
they can't reproduce it live. I'm a live act. I have comedy in my shows. I even sometimes take on characters. I I love the audience. I'm interfacing with the audience the whole time. And in the studio, it's different. It's actually can be quite a sterile environment. If I didn't have the over 35 years of experience of singing in front of people, I wouldn't have been able to bring that energy into the studio where you're in a booth and the
Yes.
piano player is across the room in another booth and there's no audience there.
I never thought about that because you're not getting the feedback that you're normally used to getting.
That's right.
You know,
So
it-
if I hadn't had all that experience of of being live with people, I couldn't have brought that element of excitement and reality and intimacy to the recordings.
Yes, and experience counts for so much. I have a friend that named us the wisdom workforce. And I don't know how I feel about the word wisdom, although it's probably true. The experience that we bring to the things that we do when we've been on this planet a fair few years is really, it's not only beneficial for us, but I think it's beneficial for other people. Like you were able to bring all of you and all of your experience into an isolating booth in the studio. And I think that's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think you mentioned before that you've been a cabaret singer for a long time.
Well, I did my first one woman show in 1987.
Okay.
And I've done shows at the Hollywood Roosevelt Cinegrill on Hollywood Boulevard with my name on a 30-foot marquee.
Oh my gosh.
And I have sung in New York and all over Palm Springs, the Coachella Valley, and all over LA. But I hope to start working in Vancouver this year,
Oh,
and
sure.
I have a tribute show planned, which is something that I would do in addition to the show about my CD. But I plan on doing a tribute show to Anne Murray, who's a Canadian,
She is for sure.
and there's a few people doing the tribute shows. The more the merrier, because she's such a wonderful singer and I've always loved her music.
That rich alto voice. Yeah, I sing as well, not at all professionally like you, but I love to sing, and Anne Murray was one of my first loves. So I was born in Canada. I'm a Canadian. I lived there till I was 10. And she was one of my heroes, and I could sing in her key. You know,
That's right.
yeah, and so it was always fun, and I would love my voice to be as rich as hers. The great altos, um, Karen Carpenter, Anne Murray,
Mama
Ad-
Cass.
Adele, Mama Cass. Yes, absolutely. Cass Elliot is someone, she died so young. A lot of people don't remember Cass from the Mamas and the Papas and from her solo career.
I
Uh,
love
she
her.
she was a big influence on me too. Her voice, to
Mhm.
die for.
Die for.
So how many songs are on your CD?
Well, there's 12. The first one is an original. It's called An Hour or So in the Dark, which of course is a double entendre, but it means as a singer, you're able to bring people together in the dark and have that hour
Oh,
away from your troubles. You're transported.
I
And
love that name.
you're just that much different at the end of it because you took the time to relax and enjoy an artist and elevate your mood.
Yes, that's fantastic. And the other ones are, I've heard a couple of them. The other ones are standards.
Well, I've got Someone to Watch Over Me, My
Mm,
Romance, You Don't Know Me, I Get Along Without You Very Well, How Are Things in Glockamora, Mountain Greenery, and A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square, which is my favorite. I'll tell you how I came up with that being my favorite, because this is the first time I've ever sung it in a show. It was my favorite song, but I had it on such a pedestal that I never actually sang it in concert. But I was doing my end of life preparation, and I said, I want this great jazz singer, John Vance, to sing A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square at my services.
yes.
If I were to die unexpectedly.
Yep.
And I said, wow, that must be a pretty important song if you want it sung at your funeral. So I said, I better be doing that song.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because, then people will have the people who come to your funeral. And I know young people are probably saying, why the hell are they talking about funerals right
It's
now? Right. But
important to talk about.
it's a fact of life. You have to talk about it. I love that you've planned for it. Um, they'll come to your funeral and they'll hear that song and they'll remember your rendition of it.
That's right.
Yeah, which is just, yeah, that's just a beautiful, circle of life kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's great. So you've got a celebration coming up. I see the details behind you. You've got a celebration of your CD this month, Wednesday, March 22nd.
That's what they call the drop date.
Drop date.
I know all the lingo now, and it's a CD release party show, however you want to say it. It'll be an hour and 15 minutes, 19 songs. There's 12 from the album in there, and then two that didn't make the album for various reasons, which will be on the next album. And
Oh,
then there's five that are originals and four that are originals, and then one is from the guest singer that I'm bringing in, Todd Makovsky. He's
okay.
doing "The Best Is Yet to Come," which is one of my favorite songs. It was a standard by Tony Bennett,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
yeah, so it's going to be a nice show. I do a duet with Todd on an original song I wrote, and the song is called "We're Lonely," and it's what if Siri and Alexa got together and talked about their love life.
Oh my God.
And they're basically lonely. So it's a funny song.
That is really, really funny. I'm excited. I wish that I could be available that night because I would fly out to see it.
Ah,
I love supporting live music any way that I can because I've grown up loving to sing. And, don't get near me with a microphone or you'll be sorry because I will hog it for the rest of the night. However, I love spending time with people who are really, really good at it. And I'm glad that you're my friend. So it's at the Catalina Jazz Club. Oh, I do have the address here. I'm popping it up on the screen. 6725 Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, 8:30 on Wednesday, March 22nd. And you want everybody to come, right?
yes, it's a huge room. It can hold 200 people.
Okay.
So I've got about 100 people right now. So I've got what they would call a full house, but I can have more. So
Sure.
I'm not at a sold out status yet. But there's 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a day till the show. The people ordinarily get there around 7 and order dinner or dinner and drinks or just
Okay.
drinks. And then you get a better seat if you come early.
Okay. So there's food available.
Yes, it's got a really nice kitchen there, and
Oh, super.
the seating, there really isn't a bad seat in the house, but if you like to be close to the stage, get there a little early around
Okay.
7.
Super. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations, 67 years old. You're dropping your first CD, and I can't wait to hear the whole thing. I've heard a couple of the tracks, and I'm going to put Gina's information, including the address of the Catalina Jazz Club and the time and the date, in the comments. So we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So I'll in the comments on all three of those places, I will put all the details and ways that you can get in touch with Gina to wish her well and congratulate her, and maybe even go to her show. So
Great.
yeah, Gina, I'm so excited. I'm so glad I know you, and I'm very excited for your opportunity and break a leg on Wednesday, March 22nd.
Well, you're inspiring too, Suki. Thanks for this platform, and I'm sure all the artists and personalities that come on your show are grateful too. It's a great opportunity to connect with your following.
Yes, thanks. And us, we used to be like blue hairs, right? Like the blue rinse in our gray hair, and now everybody's wearing blue hair. So don't call us that anymore. We are the wisdom workforce, and we are out there building ourselves and making happy lives. So
That's right.
congratulations. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being on, and I will talk to you soon. Everybody, if you're watching, we've had Jeff Tyson on, who was a guest a few weeks ago, commenting. I'm so glad that he was here. If you're watching on replay, put a hashtag replay. And if you're watching live, of course, Jeff is watching live, hashtag live. And we'll connect. Thanks. Come back next Tuesday and we'll have another show for you. Thanks, Gina.
Thanks.